It's a typical Tuesday morning at the office. Anna is just sitting down with her coffee, ready to start her day. She opens her email and sees a calendar reminder pop up, project due Friday. Just 3 days away. Her whole demeanor changes. She goes from relaxed to anxious in seconds. Notice how her hand reaches for the stress ball on her desk, that blue squishy thing. She squeezes it tight. That's a physical sign of stress, and it's our first clue that she's feeling the pressure. Now, here's a question for you as you listen. What is Anna's immediate thought when she sees the deadline? You'll hear it later. But first, let's think about why this moment matters. In real life, when we see a tight deadline, our brain often jumps to worst-case scenarios. Anna's mind might be racing. I'll never finish on time. My manager will think I'm incompetent. But reacting like that only makes the situation worse. The key is to recognize that feeling and then choose a different response. In this episode, we're going to watch Anna move from panic to composure. But first, listen for the original problem, her first reaction. Do not try to understand every word in the first pass. Just catch the main emotion and the moment when she blurts out something she regrets. That will be enough to follow the story. As you listen, pay attention to the tone. When Anna speaks, does she sound calm or panicked? And when her manager responds, does his tone change? That contrast is important. So here's the scene, Anna at her desk, stress ball in hand, and a calendar reminder that just changed her entire morning. Let's see what happens next. I want you to imagine yourself in her shoes. Have you ever had that gut reaction to a deadline? What did you say? Now we're going to listen to Anna's version. She's about to make a mistake that many of us make. Listen for the words she uses and the speed at which she speaks. Notice the difference between her initial calm and the sudden panic. That shift is what we're going to work on today. Here we go.
When you see a tight deadline and immediately feel your heart race, Anna's hand goes to the blue stress ball on her desk. She picks it up and starts squeezing it. That's a physical sign of stress. And that's where we start. Because what she does next will determine how her manager sees her. We're going to watch Anna's journey from panic to composure. But first, let's see what happens when her manager calls a huddle. That's coming up. I had built a very clear picture of how the day was supposed to unfold, so the interruption felt larger than it really was. The strongest thought in my mind was that careful preparation should have protected me from this kind of problem. For a few minutes, I noticed only the part of the plan that was no longer available. That reaction was honest, but it also made every remaining option harder to see. Looking back, the important distinction is between feeling disappointed and deciding that nothing useful can happen next. I even caught myself using absolute words such as always, never, and ruined before I had checked what was still available. Nothing about that reaction was unusual, but it narrowed the story to a single frustrating moment. If I had spoken then, my answer would have described the emotion accurately and the situation incompletely. That is where the conversation really begins, not with a lesson, but with a first interpretation that may need more evidence. Johnson walks over and says, "Anna, I need you to lead the new campaign launch. It's due Friday." Notice how he says it. It's direct, not aggressive. But Anna hears it as a threat. She doesn't pause. She doesn't take a breath. Instead, she blurts out, "I can't do this. It's too much." That is exactly the common mistake we want you to avoid. Why does it sound wrong? Because it makes you seem emotional and unprepared. Your manager starts questioning your ability. In this episode, you'll learn 3 phrases that turn that reaction around. But for now, just listen to the original conversation. See if you can hear the moment Anna's tone changes from panic to something else. That shift is the turning point of the story.
Mr. Johnson calls a quick huddle in the main office. Everyone gathers around. He says, "Team, we have a new campaign due Friday. I need everyone on board." His tone is calm but firm. "With my current workload? Impossible." She feels the urge to protest immediately. And that's exactly what happens. She blurts out, before she can stop herself, "I can't do this. It's too much." Did you catch that? The manager's face changes immediately. He gives her a concerned look, almost a frown. Why? Because her reaction sounds emotional and unprepared. It makes her seem incapable of handling pressure. That's the common mistake, reacting instantly with panic rather than taking a moment to compose yourself. Here's a key listening point. The stress on can't is very strong, and too much is spoken quickly, almost as one unit. I can't do this. It's too much. Notice the rush of emotion. Now ask yourself, what is the manager hearing? This is the moment Anna's professional image takes a hit. That's the evidence. The manager now doubts her ability to handle the deadline. But there's a better way. Instead of blurting out, she could have said, "Let me take a breath before I answer." That small pause signals composure. The panic phrase is fast and emotional. The calm phrase is slow and deliberate. The key is to recognize the urge and pause. Before we move on, think about your own work life. When was the last time you felt that urge to say "I can't"? Now imagine saying the calm phrase instead. Practice it mentally. Listen again to the difference in tone. The panic phrase rises in pitch and ends with a strong stress on much. The calm phrase has a falling tone on breath, showing control. Let's do a quick comparison. First, the panic version, "I can't do this. It's too much." Now the calm version, "Let me take a breath before I answer." Can you hear the difference? The calm version gives you time. It also shows respect. So here's your task. In the next few minutes, whenever you feel pressure, just take a breath. That's the first step. We'll practice more phrases soon. Now let's see what Anna does next after her outburst.
Exactly. Let's go back to that moment. The manager announces, "Team, we have a new campaign due Friday. I need everyone on board." Short and direct. Anna's heart is pounding. She blurts out something she instantly regrets. Did you catch it? She says, "I can't do this. It's too much." That phrase makes her seem unprepared and emotional. The manager gives her a concerned look. Now watch what happens next. She walks back to her desk, replaying the scene in her mind. She picks up the stress ball and squeezes it hard, knuckles white. Her breath is shallow. This stress ball will appear again when she practices. She pulls out her phone and texts Maya. "I messed up." Just 2 words, but they carry the weight of her regret. Notice the stress. "I messed up." The word "messed" is emphasized, showing her feeling of failure. The rhythm is short and staccato, like a confession. Let's do a quick comprehension check. What does Anna text Maya? Because the anxiety is still present. The stress ball is a physical reminder of her tension. Now separate the external event from her emotional reaction. The manager gave a deadline. She blurted out a panic phrase. Regret, and reaching out for help. This reveals a false belief. She thinks she must respond immediately to seem competent. But the opposite is true. She believed speed showed competence, but it showed panic. A calm pause would have shown more control. Compare the rhythm. The panic phrase is fast and sharp like a burst. The calm phrase, "Let me take a breath," is slow and smooth like a steady flow. Listen to the difference. This is a key moment for listening. Hear the tone of regret in her voice. From our experience as hosts, the first step is always admitting the mistake. Have you ever made a similar mistake at work? It happens to everyone. Anna's text is the beginning of a change. Pause and think. What would you have said in her place? The manager's trust is shaken, but it can be rebuilt. In the next segment, Maya responds and introduces a new technique, taking a breath before answering. That's the solution we've been waiting for.
Now we're in the break room. Anna is sitting at a small table, still holding the stress ball, but now it's placed on the table. I walk in and sit across from her. "Let's try something different," I say. This is the turning point. I introduce the power of pausing. Instead of reacting fast, you can slow down, I say. Anna looks curious but still tense. Say this, "Let me take a breath before I answer." It sounds simple, but it changes everything. Anna repeats it slowly. "Let me take a breath before I answer." It gives the listener a clear sign that an opinion, contrast, clarification, or personal change is coming next. The phrase sounds natural because it connects ideas without making the speaker sound too certain or too abrupt. In fast speech, some small words become lighter, but the important content words keep their stress. Try it inside the episode theme, then replace the final idea with one true detail from your own experience of managing pressure with composure. A chunk becomes useful when you can move it into a new answer, not only repeat the original example. Hear how the other host responds naturally, then notice which part of the frame stays unchanged. My view of managing pressure with composure changed after a small situation forced me to choose between my usual reaction and a more deliberate response. The usual reaction felt faster, but it also repeated the same problem I had complained about before. I agree that instinct matters, but a short pause can reveal another option without making the decision feel artificial. Was there a moment when a different option became possible? Yes. I asked one specific question, listened to the answer, and changed only the next action instead of trying to solve everything. The detail I remember most is this: the important detail was not a dramatic result, it was the moment the other person's response became more open. Keep the conversation connected to managing pressure with composure, because a clear example is easier to remember than an abstract rule.
Why does that work? Because it shows self-awareness. You're not ignoring the pressure. You're buying a moment to calm down. Listen to the rhythm. Let me take a breath before I answer. Notice how take a flows together take a. Not take plus a. Try it with me now. Good. Now say it like you mean it. Imagine you're in Anna's shoes. The manager is waiting. You have that line ready. Break it into 2 or 3 sense groups, but keep each group connected instead of pronouncing every word separately. Put the strongest stress on the words that carry the new idea, and let the grammar words stay lighter. Keep your voice moving through the line. English rhythm is clearer when the sentence has one direction. Imagine you are answering a friendly host, so the tone should sound thoughtful rather than memorized. After the model ends, use the silent space to copy both the meaning and the rhythm. Keep the conversation connected to managing pressure with composure, because a clear example is easier to remember than an abstract rule. Listen for the stressed words. They carry the speaker's attitude even when several smaller words become less clear. You do not need to catch every sound. Follow the idea, the contrast, and the reason that comes next. Notice how the hosts respond to each other instead of delivering 2 separate speeches. A useful answer usually includes a position, one reason, and a concrete experience that makes the position believable. If one phrase feels difficult, keep the rhythm first and refine the individual sounds on the next repetition. Now, here's a quick comprehension check. Why does pausing make you seem more professional? But if you pause and say, "Let me take a breath," you show you're thinking. That builds trust. Next time you're in a tense conversation, use a shorter version. "Let me take a breath." Just those 4 words. Practice them now. Let me take a breath. Now put it back in the full sentence.
Perfect. Now let's see it in action. A coworker asks Anna about lunch plans. Watch her confidence grow. "Hey Anna, are you getting lunch now?" Anna takes a visible breath and says, "Let me take a breath before I answer." The coworker waits. "I'll meet you in 5 minutes. Success. That small pause made her seem composed. She didn't rush. She showed control. Now she's ready for a bigger challenge. Break it into 2 or 3 sense groups, but keep each group connected instead of pronouncing every word separately. Put the strongest stress on the words that carry the new idea, and let the grammar words stay lighter. Keep your voice moving through the line. English rhythm is clearer when the sentence has one direction. Imagine you are answering a friendly host, so the tone should sound thoughtful rather than memorized. After the model ends, use the silent space to copy both the meaning and the rhythm. Keep the conversation connected to managing pressure with composure, because a clear example is easier to remember than an abstract rule. Listen for the stressed words. They carry the speaker's attitude even when several smaller words become less clear. You do not need to catch every sound. Follow the idea, the contrast, and the reason that comes next. Notice how the hosts respond to each other instead of delivering two separate speeches. A useful answer usually includes a position, one reason, and a concrete experience that makes the position believable. If one phrase feels difficult, keep the rhythm first and refine the individual sounds on the next repetition. Now, with a question, what do you say when someone asks you something and you feel rushed? You can use "let me take a breath before I answer." Try it now. Think of the coworker asking about lunch. You say the line, "Good." Notice that after you say it, there's a natural pause. The other person waits. That pause is your friend. So after the pause, you can add what you want to do. Let me take a breath before I answer. I'll finish this email first. Practice that now.
We're moving to natural speed. Anna meets Mr. Johnson in the hallway. He asks for a quick status update. Listen to her response. Let me take a breath before I answer. Did you notice how her tone changed from strained to controlled? That's the power of the pause. She says it with a calm tone. The manager nods and gives her space. That's the result of composure. Why did the manager nod? Because she showed control and professionalism. Compare that to her earlier, "I can't do this." Huge difference, right? As you practice, imagine a real situation at work. Now it's your turn. We're going to role switch. When you hear the beep, respond with the pause phrase. Ready? Anna, can you give me that overview now? Now you say it. But first, let's focus on the pronunciation. Pay attention to the rhythm. Let me take a breath before I answer. The word breath is longer and louder. Practice that emphasis. Your answer should stay connected to managing pressure with composure, but the reason and example should come from your own life. Begin by acknowledging what you heard, then add one clear difference, reason, or personal change. Keep the answer to 2 or 3 connected sentences so it sounds complete without becoming a speech. The host question is your cue. Enter naturally and avoid repeating the question before you answer. During the silent gap, take the other role and complete the exchange aloud. Keep the conversation connected to managing pressure with composure because a clear example is easier to remember than an abstract rule. Listen for the stressed words. They carry the speaker's attitude even when several smaller words become less clear. You do not need to catch every sound. Follow the idea, the contrast, and the reason that comes next. Notice how the hosts respond to each other instead of delivering 2 separate speeches. A useful answer usually includes a position, one reason, and a concrete experience that makes the position believable. If one phrase feels difficult, keep the rhythm first and refine the individual sounds on the next repetition. Let me take a breath before I answer.
How did that feel? Let's try one more time. Say it with conviction. Remember, the pause is your tool. Let me take a breath before I answer. Again, with feeling. Good. Notice how the word breath comes with a slight pause after it. That pause shows confidence. Now we're moving to a no-help test. You're on your own. A coworker approaches with a file and asks for an urgent update. What do you say? Take a breath and respond. This is your moment to prove the technique works. When you say "let me take a breath before I answer," your boss sees you as in control. Try to say it without any filler words like Just the phrase and then your thoughts. Recall Anna's success. she got an extension because she paused. You can too. What did Anna earn? A deadline extension. That's real trust. Your answer should stay connected to managing pressure with composure, but the reason and example should come from your own life. Begin by acknowledging what you heard, then add one clear difference, reason, or personal change. Keep the answer to 2 or 3 connected sentences so it sounds complete without becoming a speech. The host's question is your cue. Enter naturally and avoid repeating the question before you answer. During the silent gap, take the other role and complete the exchange aloud. Keep the conversation connected to managing pressure with composure, because a clear example is easier to remember than an abstract rule. Listen for the stressed words. They carry the speaker's attitude even when several smaller words become less clear. You do not need to catch every sound. Follow the idea, the contrast, and the reason that comes next. Notice how the hosts respond to each other instead of delivering 2 separate speeches. A useful answer usually includes a position, one reason, and a concrete experience that makes the position believable. If one phrase feels difficult, keep the rhythm first and refine the individual sounds on the next repetition. Let me take a breath before I answer.
Here's the scene. Coworker says, I need that report by the end of the day. You pause, then say your line. Go ahead. Excellent. That's the real test. And here's the payoff. Anna returns to her desk. She picks up the stress ball, but this time she holds it gently. She doesn't squeeze it. That's progress. She reflects on what she learned. Calmness is a professional skill. Slowing down actually makes you faster in the long run. The manager even gave her an extra day. Your answer should stay connected to managing pressure with composure, but the reason and example should come from your own life. Begin by acknowledging what you heard, then add one clear difference, reason, or personal change. Keep the answer to 2 or 3 connected sentences so it sounds complete without becoming a speech. The host question is your cue. Enter naturally and avoid repeating the question before you answer. During the silent gap, take the other role and complete the exchange aloud. Keep the conversation connected to managing pressure with composure because a clear example is easier to remember than an abstract rule. Listen for the stressed words. They carry the speaker's attitude even when several smaller words become less clear. You do not need to catch every sound. Follow the idea, the contrast, and the reason that comes next. Notice how the hosts respond to each other instead of delivering 2 separate speeches. A useful answer usually includes a position, one reason, and a concrete experience that makes the position believable. If one phrase feels difficult, keep the rhythm first and refine the individual sounds on the next repetition. Let me take a breath before I answer.
Let's recap the 3 phrases we practiced. First, the simple one, let me take a breath before I answer. Use it when you feel stressed in a conversation. It shows self-awareness and buys a moment to calm down. For example, when a coworker asks for a quick update, you can pause and say that. It works because it's honest and gives you time. Second, the polite one, I need a moment to collect my thoughts. Use this in a meeting when asked a difficult question. It's respectful and gives you time to organize. Last week, Anna used it when her manager asked about campaign performance. She collected her thoughts and gave a clear answer. The manager appreciated her composure. Let me review the priorities and get back to you. Use this when a manager gives a tight timeline. It shows proactive planning and competence. Anna used this to get an extra day. Which phrase would help you most? Is it the simple pause, the polite request, or the professional review? I encourage you to choose one and use it this week. Share your experience in the comments. The key is to slow down. That pause transforms panic into poise. Practice each phrase out loud slowly, then at natural speed. Let's end with a final repetition. Let me take a breath before I answer. Ready? Let me take a breath before I answer. Great. Subscribe for more real English at work.
And that's how Anna's story turned around by simply using one calm phrase. She texted Maya after their meeting, and later, when a coworker asked about lunch, she paused and said, "Let me take a breath before I answer." It worked perfectly. Think of a time you felt rushed to respond at work. Can you recall what you said? Maybe it was a quick, "I'll get back to you," or an apology. But imagine if you used exactly what Anna learned. "Let me take a breath before I answer." That tiny gap changes the whole tone. Try it right now. In connected speech, take a breath sounds like take brie, with the K linking to the schwa. The pause itself is part of the phrase. This week, practice it in 2 low-stakes situations, ordering coffee or answering a phone call. After each use, note how the other person reacts. That's your progress. The first listen trained meaning, the detail check trained attention, and the 2 shadowing speeds trained rhythm. The role switch mattered because recognition is different from producing an answer on your own. Choose 2 lines that were difficult and repeat only those before replaying the whole episode tomorrow. On the next listen, measure progress by how quickly you understand and respond, not by whether every word sounds perfect. Keep one idea from managing pressure with composure and use it in a short real conversation or voice note today. A useful idea becomes memorable when we can connect it to a choice, a consequence, and an honest response. Listen for the stressed words. They carry the speaker's attitude even when several smaller words become less clear. You do not need to catch every sound. Follow the idea, the contrast, and the reason that comes next. Notice how the hosts respond to each other instead of delivering 2 separate speeches. A useful answer usually includes a position, one reason, and a concrete experience that makes the position believable. If one phrase feels difficult, keep the rhythm first and refine the individual sounds on the next repetition. Subscribe for more real English at work. See you next time.